Hi. I think it's going. Yeah. Hi, I'm Laura Chappelli, and I am your storyteller for today. I am going to be reading my letter from the Pay It Forward series, Notes to My Younger Self, by the brilliant Kezia Leckett. She managed to get us all together, all 18 of us, and each of us bared our hearts and dug deep and told a story which was very very poignant for us, in the hope to inspire and help women that are coming through after us. So I'm going to our mission is to touch 1 billion lives. So we were asked to go to a time in our lives that was challenging, or maybe emotionally loaded, or a time where we couldn't really see a way forward, or that we struggled through, or struggled to make sense of. So we were asked to go back to that time and write a letter to ourselves. Part of Kezia's process involved writing a letter to our younger selves with the wisdom and the experience of lives having as they are now, writing back to ourselves at the time. With the wisdom. So the idea is sharing there's twofold. There's a healing process that comes with that as a personal, from a personal level, and then the other is then collecting them and sharing them with the world, in hope that have the benefit of our experience. So we're all unique and have unique challenges, but essentially that we're all human and have the same. Our feelings can be compared. So I'm going to. I'll set a bit of background. The book is available on Amazon. Most of the profits go to the global. What was it called? The Global Girl Fund. The Global Fund for Women. So I got confused with the Global Girl Fund, and this they work to help women step forward into their rightful place in the world, empower women. So it's a really great charity, and the books that are written very, very authentically come from straight from the heart, from a really vulnerable place, with the hope to help people on their journeys. So I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm going to read just the letter that I wrote to myself, and I'm going to set a bit of background. I was bulimic for nearly 25 years, from when I was 14 until my late 30s, really. And I struggled to make sense of this. I struggled throughout that time. Really a difficult time, really. And I'm looking back on it, I can't really believe it. Very, very difficult. And I tried to make sense of this. I didn't know why. I wanted to know why, and I didn't really. I still don't really know why. And there's like a layering effect, and there's many reasons why people become addicted, or become really embroiled in destructive behaviors. And mine, I feel, as I still sort of feel that I was low self-esteem and things like that. But at the time of the writing and the time of the process, there was a time in my life that I couldn't recall without becoming very emotional and crying about it. I don't feel the same way now, which is a testament to Kezia's process, whereby I feel that in the writing and the sharing and the talking about it and the peeling and paring back the layers, I feel quite not distant from it or detached from it, but I don't feel the same pain. And I also, therefore, I feel that maybe in my story I've kind of implicated it as possibly being the catalyst that set me off. But I think there were many reasons, and there are with these things. There's never really one kind of reason, perhaps, that I felt that it was a way of dealing with difficult emotions that I was unable to express and deal with. So I'll start. So that's the introduction and setting up where I am. So I've got my page here. Okay. I'm from Wales, so this is in my Welsh village. My darling younger self, it was the summer of 1984 and you were 8 years old. It was the school holidays and you can remember the sun was shining. Your mum made you an open pate sandwich on fresh French baguette, which was pretty special in your 1980s Welsh village. Ah, that is. You were in heaven as you devoured it, so soft and delicious. You finished it, but still felt you could have eaten more. It was just so nice. What harm could there be in asking for a bit more of the tasty snack? What happened next changed you. The way you saw yourself and your relationship to the world forever. It was only a moment so insignificant in the life of your mum that she doesn't even remember. But for you, that moment is eternal. You returned to the kitchen to ask your mum if you could have some more pate and bread. Mum, I'm starving, you said innocently. Can I have some more, please? Your mum was at the kitchen table reading the Sunday Times magazine and she looked up. You saw tears streaming down her face. As she looked at you, you saw pain in her eyes, which you interpreted as scorn. Your mum, already distressed and emotional, was made angry by the word starving and directed this at you. Your mum thrust the magazine at you and you saw the images of the emaciated children dying of thirst and hunger in rags covered in flies, so skinny and ill. You felt so bad. You were only 8 years old and you had never seen these types of images before. Immediately you felt what you know now to be guilt and shame rise through your entire body, until you were drowning and totally engulfed in these intense feelings that were so new and painful. Your mum, full of pain herself, screamed at you with such anger and rage, with no idea of the significance of your words. No, you are not starving, she said. Look at these pictures. These children are starving, not you. No, you can't have any more. You've had enough. You are just being greedy. You're spoiled rotten, you kids. This is what I remember her saying, but I can't remember her words to be exact. Firstly, know this, darling 8-year-old Laura. Nothing you did made your mum angry. The pain was inside her and she did not mean to hurt you with this emotional outburst. It was directed at you as you were in the firing line and she didn't know this would have such an impact on your self-esteem and development. It was not her fault and she did not mean it. It's how the human operates, directing internal pain outwardly. Unless you are aware, you can't control it. We all lose it from time to time. We can't know the repercussions. The word starving in her well-fed Western world home triggered something in your mum and feeling of sadness and helplessness for all the people. Of course, you were only using lit language. It's a common expression, albeit not very nice when used when one is hungry. You are absolutely not to know its significance and are not responsible for your mother's upset and rage about this. There is no blame and the combination of many factors coming together that coded the intense emotions into your subconscious. You were sensitive, and seeing the images of the people in Africa made you realize your privileged life for the first time, and you felt deep shame and guilt about this. The words of your mother, you have had enough, you can't have any more, you were being greedy and you were spoilt, hit hard and have been exaggerated, so you felt guilty for everything. And you have felt in the past that you don't deserve to be alive. This is not real, Laura, not at all. So you took the magazine behind the sofa in the living room and sobbed over the pictures. You can't remember what you were thinking or how long you were there, but what you were doing was etching deeply into your psyche inaccurate limiting beliefs and eliminated beliefs about who you are and how to be in this world. Much more damaging than the words of your mum in the moment. A less sensitive child might have sulked and said that, mum's a bit in a bad mood, but but you felt very terrible and how spoilt and greedy and undeserving you were. It was the message you told yourself and concentrated on so intently that became true for you. These false beliefs became etched in your heart and subconscious, and you believed that to want and need things is shameful and greedy. You have felt that you don't deserve to have more. You mustn't want more of anything. To want more is bad. You have felt that you are a bad person for wanting more. You must be ashamed of who you are always and don't deserve a nice life when there are people who have nothing. Why should you be alive when people are dying? You must not ask for anything you need or want. What you want or need does not matter. You are not important enough to have your needs met. You have always felt you must walk with your head down and apologize for who you are. You must be ashamed and apologize for being you. It's not okay to be you. It's not okay to be you is what you have lived with since that day, and it has taken you on a journey over the most difficult terrain. But it is definitely okay to be you, Laura. More than okay. You triumph at being you. You are strong, you have courage and resilience, and you have forged forward, creating lovely friendships and relationships. But please do love yourself. Love yourself first, darling Laura, and know your needs and wants are important and essential. Part of your charm is having absolutely no idea of your gifts or what a positive, vibrant energy you have. However, knowing these sooner, knowing you count, will help you share them with the world and bring you more fulfillment and confidence into your life and to live it at the fullest potential. Having confidence in yourself and showing yourself and your truth will cut out many years of never feeling enough because you are not in tune with believing that you are enough already. Be yourself always. You are enough always. Trust yourself and believe in yourself. Years of working to reprogram the subconscious with new beliefs that serve you and align you with your true universal nature as a human being were worth it. You now know they aren't true. Yay! But they were scratched so deep you have spent much of your adult life trying to erase them. Well done, Laura. It's not easy to get right down to the wound and be in the pain and build yourself back up by piece and learning the patterns of thinking and behaving. Your eating disorder may or may not be down to this one event. I think not. You're a sensitive human being, and there could be many reasons why you became bulimic at 14. But almost certainly low self-esteem and feeling less than, experiencing big emotions and being able to express them freely played a role. New feelings and emotions that were brought up and stuffed back down. Feeling guilty and ashamed of expressing yourself and your needs had an implications on how you lived and how you behaved from then on. My darling Laura, go to a professional expert sooner rather than later so you can do all this unraveling earlier, and maybe with support an addiction will not develop. Maybe the timing has been perfect, just the way it is, and this has been your soul's journey, but I am sad to see you suffer for over 20 years. I feel your bulimia, if necessary at all, should have been a teenage coping mechanism that you outgrow as a young woman and not stay with you well into your 30s. You can do it, and working on healing sooner may save you so much time and pain. The power is inside you. It always has been. Know that yours, and I speak about my own experience and beliefs as I do not want to generalize here across all eating disorders and addictions, is a subconscious decision that you have made to protect and soothe yourself and deal with your emotions. It becomes an addiction that is driven by low self-worth and inability to take responsibility. It's full of fear. I know when you are in the throes of it, it's like you are possessed and have no control. It's deep, it's in your subconscious, you are an addict. It is powerful, which is why it's ignored. It remains in your life for so long, which is why you need real help and support from a professional, and be honest with yourself. This is preventing you blossoming sooner. This has kept your esteem and self-worth low. This has kept you from believing in yourself and reaching for the stars. It's kept your service from the world. Ignoring it and pretending you don't have a problem and self-managing takes so much of your energy that you cannot be the person you need to be, shining her light and sharing her gifts. This black and heavy cloak that you wear for so long, but disguised as a bright, sunny, bright and happy sundress, is exhausting. The pretending to be fine is exhausting. The time and physical consequences on your life has been a huge waste of time. You can do it, and you do it. It all works out, and you'll be fine and are the person you are today because of your journey. So don't beat yourself up. Just get well and be happy. Don't be afraid of anything, Laura. You are stronger than you know. You will find Pilates, which strengthens your weak and debilitated body and gives you focus and relieves your stress. Your mind becomes more balanced and calmer, and your esteem improves as you walk taller with confidence. As your body becomes lengthened and flexible, and your mind expands and becomes more flexible too, you start taking care of your body and making better choices when it comes to food. You are open to meeting new people and taking on new challenges, which in turn broadens your horizons, adding the building blocks to real happiness, breaking free from the self-imposed prison of your critical thoughts. As you change the beliefs about yourself, the urges become fewer, and as you become more engaged in life, fall in love and have a baby, life is so full and has more meaning, and so the bulimia fades into the background, although it does not disappear until a bit later. It won't until you resettle in Barcelona and start training to teach Kundalini yoga that your recovery feels like you were done with it. I can't tell you when or how you flipped the switch exactly, but Kundalini yoga was big in your life, and it worked for you. You found peace and your place in the higher picture. You shine and connect with people and have a gift for empathizing and making people feel really comfortable with you. Know your gifts and have confidence to share them with the world. Share your story and help others know that they are not alone and there is hope. You're a beautiful, compassionate soul, and the women of the world need you to step up and be the mirror to show them that the power is inside them too. You must not be the victim in this, but be an empowered woman and in support the healing of others. Go forth, young Laura, and be of service to those who need your work. As Louise L. Hay writes in her You Can Heal Your Life for the Bulimia affirmation, you will say it 10,000 times in your healing. You are loved and nourished and supported by life itself. It's safe for you to be alive. It's true, and I love you. Yours most lovingly, Laura. So there we are. That was the letter I wrote to myself, and another testament to Kez's process. I could not have read that without crying until relatively recently, really. Writing the letter back to itself, and also, going sharing it with everybody as well, and it being open has been really cathartic. Really, really, really cathartic. So, what I've in reflection, I feel that although incredibly pivotal moment of my mum telling me that I was not starving and I shouldn't want any more, and how I went behind the sofa and I just etched that into my psyche deeper and just made it so much bigger than that needed to be, amongst other things. I think maybe it was there already and something could have set me off, and I was going to take something and interpret it anyway, because then this was my journey to have. And yes, in this, I didn't read it. It wasn't part of the letter, but one of the questions in the chapter is, what advice would I give to somebody else going through the same thing? And I did talk about in my letter about getting help. It's really difficult to explain, but when you're in the throes of it, and if anybody is suffering from an eating disorder or an addiction to any kind of substance or behaviors outside themselves, then we'll know how compelling it can be and how much secrecy is part of it. So, I say to get help, but the person doesn't want help. I didn't want help. It's not like I was reaching out and nobody could help me. I was not reaching out. I mean, sometimes I did, but it was a secret. It was so secret. And I would, feel that I reached out to some friends, but I would immediately backtrack. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I just wanted to keep that to myself. So maybe getting professional help, it's great advice when you're ready, and to be assisted along that. But for somebody that's in the throes of it, that wanting to keep that secret, because it becomes a part of who you are, and how you handle your big emotions. It's how you handle stuff, and therefore to give that up, it feels like, the lifeline is going when it's the thing that's killing you. You think this is the thing that's saving you. And it's terribly complicated, and the people from the outside can see the person suffering, but the person suffering can't even think of a life without what's making them suffer, if that makes sense. So, not to go off on a tangent too much, I think advice to somebody is in that kind of situation is you have to work on your love, your self-love, because when you love yourself, you don't want to hurt yourself. When you do really love yourself, when you have to work on the aspects that you feel that you don't matter, because you do matter, and everybody matters, and nobody is more important than anybody else, and nobody's better than anybody else, and you're somebody, just equal. We're totally equal, and to feel smaller and not worthy, it's no good, and you need that needs to change. So that part of yourself, and whether you do that through books slowly, or whether you see somebody with this about this, it's keeping it secret and being lonely with it. It prolongs the agony, I feel. And since I've found it, that since I've told my story, People have contacted me about saying thank you for that, thank you for sharing, and it's made me feel not alone. And I think, you know, the loneliness in all sorts of situations, not necessarily bulimia or eating disorders, anything, whatever your challenge is, the secrecy, the loneliness, the shame, the guilt, the feeling that you're less than is all keeps these things. It's like it's cyclic. Keeps it in a cycle of destruction, really. And so, yeah, just love yourself. Learn to love yourself. Really try, and yeah, know that you're okay, and it's going to be okay. And there's hope. There's hope, because sometimes I thought that it would be part of my life forever, and it was just the way it was, just the way I was. It's like, I'm weak, and I can't do it, and it's just the way I am. I just can't, have a normal relationship with food and my body, and deal with stuff. I can't do it, but you can, and it can happen. I don't know whether it can happen overnight. It didn't for me. I would say I was fully bulimic in secret, and in my delusions, and in my world, and from about 14 to 30, and it was when I was about 30, I started my process, which for me did involved discovering books like Louise Hay and the self-development. It involved sort of lots of work. I started to meditate and this sort of thing, and by then I had already been doing Pilates, which really, really, really helped me a lot. And then, I fell in love. I met my husband. Then fell in love. Had a baby, and was restudying and always doing this work. And it was so I would associate myself like in that period like an addict that was on the wagon and doing her 12 steps, so to speak. I was doing my thing, and I had my tools and my techniques, and I was in control, but still doing a bit of, it was still walking a bit of a tightrope with it, but very much more in control. And then it wasn't until, for me, it was Kundalini yoga kind of like flipped a few switches, having done that, and it might have just been part of the process of time, because it was 6 or 7 years after my initial healing, and it could just have been the time. Or it could, for me, I feel very, very passionate about that. The magnificence of the Kundalini yoga and meditations is really, really, really powerful, deep stuff, which is why I love my work and my life and myself and all the good stuff. So for me, I've been so before like an addict on 12 steps, but now I have absolutely no food issues at all. I eat a healthy Mediterranean diet. I eat pasta by the kilo. Well, no, not by the kilo, but I comfortably eat pasta, when before pasta would not have been a really comfortable thing for me to eat. I'm healthy. I'm fit. I have a busy life. I have lots of friendships, and and I don't do this. Yeah, I don't feel, and I don't use food for emotions. Right, I don't use food emotionally. I don't go to it when I'm sad or when I'm stressed, when perhaps before I did. So that's about it really for me. I thank you so much for being here and joining me this Wednesday lunchtime. I really, really appreciate it. If you've been inspired or feel the urge to purchase this marvelous book, most of the profits go to charity, and what you gain by passing this on, paying it forward. There is a section here in the book where you get to write a message, and you pass it on to somebody that you can leave it for a stranger on it in a cafe or anywhere, or you can give it to somebody that you might feel might do. So there's 18, mine is just one of 18. There are other authors are going to be speaking every Wednesday at the same time, 1 o'clock Wednesday lunchtime, UK time. And Ruth Driscoll is going to be speaking next week on the 17th of April. So thank you very, very much for joining me. It's been really, really lovely. I started off really, really nervous. But yeah, I feel really, really relaxed now, and it's sort of like another, it's another way to share. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye. Bye. Bye.